today's topic is when it feels like God is doing nothing. So, have you ever been in a season of life where fear, doubt, and anxiety seems to dominate your life? Have you ever felt so lonely, down, and hurt that you couldn't seem to remember life ever being good to you? Have you ever wrestled with the big question of life and faith and end up feeling more confused than you started? I have been into that season, and I guess we've all been into that season. So even though I am a Christian, even though I have given my life to Christ, even though I am a follower of Christ, even though I go to church every Saturday, even though from the outside I look like a perfect Christian, I wonder, I worry, I struggle, I doubt. Sometimes I wonder if God really exists, if God really cares about me, if He even answers my request. So sometimes God just feels distant, silent, and uninterested. It is in those doubtful moments that I find myself searching for what is true. Yes, at the back of my mind, I know that the Bible says that God is faithful. His promises are real. God is perfect. God never cheats. Whatever promise He has made, He will fulfill this promise at His own times. But at times, it is not easy waiting for God to fulfill His promises. Sometimes I fear. My heart feels far away from God, simply because at times I'm pouring out my heart to Him or to God in prayer and worship, but God still remains silent. So it's not easy. It is very hurting, it is very frustrating, but at the same time it is important for me to be reminded, to have that reminder at the back of my head that God is still working in my life, and God is very near if I'm going to search Him and searching Him faithfully. So when feeling the absence of God in my life, it is very important for me to focus on the mindset of those in the Bible stories. For example, in the New Testament, there is the book of John chapter 11. We're given the story of Jesus and his friends, that is Lazarus, Martha, and Mary. So these were very good friends of Jesus. So Lazarus fell sick, and the sisters, Mary and Martha, sent a word to Jesus that his friend was sick. And so they expected Jesus to rush or to come quickly and heal his friend. But instead, Jesus stayed where he was 2 more days. And this Jesus did intentionally, or was intentional, because there was something new about him that he wanted the sisters and the people in Bethany to understand about him. But to Mary and Martha, just like you and me, they felt like Jesus just chose to neglect and to allow their beloved one to die. So by the time Jesus was arriving in Bethany, Lazarus had been in the grave for 4 days. So you can imagine the smell from that grave. But Jesus wanted to prove to the people of Bethany and to the sisters that his resurrection. So his delay had a purpose. Another story is the story of Abraham. Abraham desired to have children of his own because he didn't have any. And so God appeared to Abraham and made a promise to make him a father. And not just a father of one, but a father of nations. So when God appeared to Abraham, Abraham was 75 years old. And another time we seeing this God appearing to Abraham to fulfill his promise was 24 years later. So Abraham was 99 when God fulfilled his promise. So you can imagine what was going on in their mind. That is Abraham and his wife. 24 years later, 2 decades plus 2.5 decades. So that was, I guess, I want to imagine how difficult it was for these people to wait. To Abraham and his wife Sarah, I really don't know what was going on in their mind in those 24 years of waiting. But in those 24 years of waiting, God was preparing Abraham by stretching his faith and developing his character. So there was a character that God wanted Abraham to develop. At the same time, God wanted to increase his faith. And so he allowed Abraham and his wife to wait 2 decades. So I don't know what you've waited for. 2, 3, 4, 5 decades, 2 years, and you're like giving up on God. I want to encourage you to remain faithful to God because his promises are real. God is not in any business, or God is not into any business of wasting our time or wasting us. One thing we need to know is our timetable is totally different from God's timetable. So our schedule is different. But at the end of the day, it is his timetable that matters most. Ours is strengthen our faith, increase our faith, be encouraged by even reading the Bible stories. Read the story. All those stories in the Bible, they are there to encourage us while we're waiting. I don't know what you've been requesting God for. And I don't know for how long you've done this and you're feeling like, really? Be it a baby, be it a job, be it a wife or a husband, just be patient. In his own appointed time, God is going to fulfill his promises in our lives. So let's remain faithful in God. Let's remain believing, or let's remain believers, very obedient. And let's do according to his will. And then at the end of the tunnel, everything will work as per the will of God. Thank you for watching. Stay safe, remain faithful to God, and be blessed, guys.